Hello and welcome to the 8th section of the Web Development with AngularJS 2.0 and Bootstrap. In the previous section, we discussed about Angular 2 services and dependency injection. In this section, we are going to understand Angular 2 component routing. We will explore how we are creating single-page apps in Angular 2 using routing. We will render different components on different URLs on the browser. We will explore how to add routing in applications and how to create nested routes, passing data in routes, and many more concepts of routing. Let's start exploring it. In the first video, we will discuss the role of routing in a single-page application and Angular 2's new component router. We can build the full application without changing the URL. Adding routing, however, allows the user to go straight into certain aspects of the application. This is very convenient, as it can keep your application linkable and bookmarkable and allows users to share links with others. Routing allows you to maintain the state of the application, implement modular applications, create single-page applications, create nested components. Let's do the basic setup for routing applications. First, create the routes object that we will use to define components based on defined paths or links. Then register routes in the route module of application, and further we can use the required directives. There are three main components that we use to configure routing in Angular. Routes describes an application's routes. Router outlet is a placeholder component that gets expanded to each route's content. This is where we display our templates based on the routes. routeLink is used to link to routes, or in other words, it helps us to create a navigation menu. Let's get started with configuring a basic route and see how that goes. app.routes.ts holds the base route configuration. The routes type is an array of routes that defines the routing for the application. This is where you can set up the expected paths, the components we want to render. We are adding components with the path. So here the routes are arrays, and we are defining the path and the component name for the path product we want in order to render the product detail component. For the path 404, we want to render the 404 component. Each route can have different attributes. Some of the common attributes are path, URL to be shown in the browser when the application is on a specific route. Component, component to be rendered when the application is on a specific route. Redirect to, redirect route if needed. Each route can have either component or redirect attribute defined in the route. Children, array of route definition objects representing the child routes of this route. This is used in nested components. We define an array of routes, which is of type routes, then use router module .for_route to export the routes, so it can be injected in our application when bootstrapping. The above configuration is basically what it takes to define routes in Angular 2. The routes configuration file imports some components that we need to create. For now, we just create them and flesh them out with minimal content. Then we can build on them while we move on. Here are the basic components. Home component, product component, 404 component. We have already created the route module. Now just add that and import definition of route module @ngModule. Before we bootstrap the app, we need to assemble our imports, providers, and declaration using ngModule so they can be available application-wide. Here in Imports, we are importing the browser module and routing. In the declaration, we are adding all the components. In the Bootstrap, we are putting all the components we want to bootstrap. This is the new feature that saves the hassle of managing dependencies in complex projects and makes features, collection of components, services, pipes, and directives that offer a single goal, which is composable. Now component, directives, and services are available application-wide. Let's now create our route components. The router comes with other important directives by configuring and providing the routes using router module. We also get some important directives, including router outlet to load route templates and routeLink to help with navigation. The routeLink directive represents navigation links for other routes. It gives href property to other components. The router outlet directive is used to display views for a given route. This is the place we will load our routes based on the route hit from browser. Angular makes it easy to make our SPA route URLs look indistinguishable from server-served URLs. All we need to do is set base URL. Here we have our components, which we want to show on different routes, just fleshing out some data on screen. App component is already defined routeLink, so once we click on them, we will be navigated to corresponding router components. This is all about basic routing, where we are rendering different concepts based on different URLs. We can run this application by running npm start from the terminal. In this video, we learned the role of routing in single-page applications and Angular 2's new component router. In the next video, we will do deep dive in routing and explore how to pass data in routes and nested routes. Great! See you there!